equal out those things. The llama turns into a volcano here. My knuckle right on the bottom edge. And I slowly am pushing this inwards here. Right? And I'm just trying to really fix up that bottom, because that bottom there's some off-centered stuff. And so when I'm pushing my knuckle in, I'm really trying my best to overpower what the clay is wanting my finger to like fall into, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to the bottom. I'm gonna say, hey clay, you got anything for us? Clay will usually have a little bump, and so we thank the clay for the bump. Let me take that all the way up to the top edge there, right? Very slow on that top. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 in there. Take those 6 up ever so slightly. And then we really want this bottom to fold first. So we're going to emphasize that bottom part with our middle finger and really try to jam those in there before we even start doing our spider pull on the top here. If I'm up here on the top, I got to make sure my fingers are pretty nice and even. I'm slowly bringing this out, and you'll see it's starting to want to tuck up in that inside middle there. And it'll just be round right on this top edge. The in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Okay, so we got that sort of going on the bottom there. Go right up to this bottom edge, clean that up, right? And there's pot number 1. Great. Okay. Right. Nice. Again, right to the bottom. I'm just trying to get those walls pretty equal. I went a little bit too thin on the top, right? That's what I'm feeling. It's kind of getting kicked off. So again, down to the bottom. And so you can see how kicked off it really is at a lot of spots, and that's because it's more of like an oval on the inside. And so there becomes a little spot on my finger where it just skips. And so it emphasizes that as I'm going up. But you can still finish the pole. It's still round, just a little bit oval-like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right to the top. This one is a cut on the bottom, so like when I see this, I sense that I'm going to cut this bottom edge here. So I'm slowly taking this out, bring that across, 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 and there we go. Looks pretty good. Okay, crawling up these edges. Looks pretty good. Put that in, take that up, put that in, take that up. If I'm looking at this pot, there's a couple of things that I think stand out, right? I think that first and foremost, the twist of the veins of the tree, right? These little veins that go up and twist. I think those are probably some of the most solid ones in a little bit too. Something that I like about it is that there's actually some space in this middle part here to really let it breathe and talk pretty loudly. Sometimes that gets a little bit swamped by either the top edge or the bottom tendrils coming up a little bit too tall or not enough, right? But I think right as soon as this starts really trying to tuck in, that's when the tendrils sort of lead into it. So I think that looks really good. The top, I think, is still a little bit bland, but this middle part is just so loud, I don't think I really mind too much. And so that's kind of my little thing on that. Anyway, green off. Camera B. Thank you. Slowly at this bottom edge, take that up. And then as it's getting wobbly on the top, you got to project that forward ever so slightly. Because it's almost always going to want to twist and rip near the bottom edge. It's usually going to twist and rip where like hard clay meets soft clay, right? Because you're putting off-center tension. You can really see how it's wanting to rip off right this bottom section. But don't let that spook you out. Really just set your hand down there. Put the pressure down under. Keep that hand right up underneath. Right, this hand right up underneath, and then you can get it right on center there. A little bit off-centered, so we got to make sure we fill the pond with some water. Can't let the tadpoles dry out. You're going to slowly bring this up with your llama pole, and you're going to get it into your volcano. You know, why are we getting it into this volcano, right? Even though we're keeping the clay pretty equal thickness, when we make it narrow, we're actually thinning it out, right? Because we're going to open this back up, and the walls are going to thin out as it's opening. And so there becomes a natural taper to this top edge. Sometimes people throw with way too much clay on the top, and they'll end up pulling and ripping off their clay, right? So I'm right down at the bottom here. And I'm slowly pushing this upwards until I get to a point where I feel like I'm getting too thin, and I lessen up my pressure. Say, thank you, clay, for this little bump. We'll take it on a journey. All the way up the side of the clay here. It's getting a little bit tense. So just add some more water. Finish off the pole. So there is our pole for height, right? Stop. Okay, so we have the little spiral set. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually think that looks quite nice. I like the way it kind of tucks back in. Maybe we'll just kind of leave that. We'll get this maybe a little bit further in. Go right up at that bottom edge there, slowly. Carefully pushing this out ever so slightly. You're allowed to make one full rotation before you push it up. Thank you so much for watching. We got these 3 pots today. I think that first and foremost, I think if we look in this area, I think that this pot right here, I think really this one turned out probably the best out of today. Either this one or pot number 2. I think there's still something that's happening with that tendril, that middle part, that I think is really attractive. But if I'm looking at this one, I think a lot of times they come in and they close up. So there's something that's cool about that full release of it opening up like a blossom of a flower or something, right? Where sometimes I feel like it's almost like the blossom's getting ready to open up on some of the other pots. And the one in the back, I don't know, it's okay. That's it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. All the best and strong mentality.